You are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army. Live daily on the website, on YouTube,
on BAB,
and on every online radio directory.
NUFC Talk,
the voice of the Toon Army.
Good, thank you. Yeah, exactly the same. I think we should all be showing now, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we're good now. So now you can hear us and see us if you just want to pop over to the YouTube channel.
Yep. I don't think we're live on YouTube, but I don't think they could hear on YouTube, so we'll start again with the intro. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final shout on NUFC Talk with me, Boaky, and Tina. Please like if you can, subscribe if you're new, and become a member. It's $4.99 a month, and you do get exclusive content, including the Michael and Ian show, which is great. They rate the players after every match, and if you haven't got that, you are missing out. We're live also on DAB radio across the Newcastle area, and we're also live on radio on the internet. So, Tina, how are you today? Oh, we seem to have lost Tina for a second. So, just to start off with, we've been given the keys to the car, the two of us, by the Gary and Win, and the kids are now in control. So, sit back, enjoy, and hopefully it'll be fun for you guys. I'm certain it will for me and Tina. So, Tina, how are you doing today?
Yes, absolutely excellent. Thank you very much. Now that I've got a couple of things sorted out, I've got myself up and running, I believe, which is good. And it's nice to see. It's nice for the as you say, the kids to be in control of the car for a change.
Yep, we've got out the back seat and we're speaking in the first 20 minutes. How exciting can life get? So,
we
we're going to start.
We are. So,
what we're going to start the show off with tonight is just to get the chat going a little bit, hopefully, as a quick quiz for you guys. So, what I want you to do is we're going to do the A to Z of Newcastle United players that have played for in the Premier League. So, the first one is A. If you want to put in the chat any players you can think of that names start with A, and we'll then carry on with the show. I'll show a few on the screen, and we'll move on through the alphabet as we go through the show. So, let's start with yesterday, the lads' game. And how do you think we did, Tina, in that game?
Oh, I mean, I think we were fantastic. I think we started quite shakily. I think Nick Waltermore himself was a good barometer for how I think we played yesterday. I think he kind of started a little bit nervy, and then once he'd had a couple of touches, he really got into the game in a way that I don't think I've seen him do for a while in a Newcastle shirt. And I think we were very much the same. I think obviously a couple of the decisions were going against us. I think a lot of people have mentioned the refereeing, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But from ourselves, I think we played really well. We had obviously complete control once they went down to 10 men, but rightfully so. They probably should have been on 9 men, to be completely honest. By the time their second player got sent off, or if not, then definitely by the time that Diagne handballed it in the box as well. After he should have, had the red card earlier on, but he did end up getting the yellow card in the second half. Once they scored, Nalanga came on, it was one-way traffic, and it was great to see Tonali shining like I hoped that he would with Bruno being out for a while. So yeah, fantastic. Delighted to be getting through to the next round of the FA Cup as well.
Yeah, but it was brilliant, wasn't it? I wasn't even particularly worried when we went the 1-0 down in the first half. I think the teams were very much even. I know a lot of the pundits were saying that Villa were on top of it, but I don't think they were particularly. Obviously, once
No,
the red card, as you say, happened, then the game turned on its head. But I think we'll go through the incidents of the game. We'll not go into too much depth. There's no data or anything going to be on this show, but the offside goal, were you as disappointed with the whole refereeing team as I was with that one?
I mean, I was disappointed with the refereeing team overall in the game. The offside decision, I mean, before the days of VAR, that's one that you could have missed. I mean, one thing that made me feel a little bit aggrieved to it was the fact that Newcastle players couldn't have made it much easier for the Lions person to have seen that was offside, because they all literally stood on the edge of the box, like right on the line.
Line.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was touch and go. He released literally as soon as the ball was kicked, and it was a clever goal. I was much less annoyed by the offside decision than I was by the allowing players to be kicked, missing two penalties, and then a third penalty with the handball, where for some reason the handball happened about a good 3 yards inside the box, and the free kick was taken from just outside my kitchen. So I'm not sure the referee had that exactly correct. I don't know which game he was watching, but yeah, I mean they had an absolute shock. I mean, if you flick through YouTube for 5 minutes today, you're going to see 100 channels with just headlines of disgraceful refereeing, and then people are going to be going on about the decisions in that, and what repercussions should happen, maybe because of how bad the refereeing was. But we've seen this before. There's been a lot of games where there's been bad referee performances and nothing ever really seems to happen about it. So I think he's going to get off a little bit later than they would have, just based on the fact Newcastle had won. But I think if we had lost that game after people were throwing out leg lariats all over the pitch and kicking our players and leaving stud marks in their shins, I think there
Yeah,
would have been an absolute explosion of our fans.
100%. I think as well, to me, part of the issue is that because they're so used to having VAR, they don't automatically make the decision, or they don't then make the decision, simply down to the fact that they're used to having VAR there to then tell them they tell them what's happened. Um, it seems that
Yeah, I mean that was a
they're not managing the game. So
no.
if
I mean
they're
I was it was a question that happened. No, go on.
it just seems that they're not managing the game as effectively as they can, simply down to the fact that they have obviously got they've normally got the backup of VAR, and I think now the referees at the level that where they have VAR are beginning to sort of rely on it too much. It's just becoming the management of the game, and through time, do we actually need referees on the pitch, or will VAR just make that? Will we just have a person on the pitch who blows his whistle and VAR will tell you what's happening?
I mean, that might be the way that it's going. I think myself and Alan Shearer, so I was in good company yesterday with him saying the same thing that I said. But I posed a question on the call-in show that we did after the football game yesterday with myself, Chris the American Mag, and the Mighty Win, and I was very much interested to see what the viewers thought about whether the fact that we've got VAR has actually affected the quality of officiating, like on the whole. Like there was people who have been saying that referees' assistants now are told keep your flag down, and then if it's offside, it'll get picked up by VAR. So when you remove VAR from the equation, well, you're just missing decisions. They're not putting their flags up for offsides. They're not putting their flags up for fouls. It's just that if they're not going to be doing anything and they're relying on the video assistant referee, like you say, is there really a point to them being there?
Exactly. I think that's a big part of the point now. What was your thoughts on the Diona challenge on Murphy? Do you think he should have been sent off?
I think it was shocking. I think obviously in the times of VAR, I think that does get called out. I mean, you could say it, he hasn't went in full studs, but I mean, his leg was high the whole challenge. There was, he was nowhere near really. Well, it wasn't a challenge that was designed to play the ball. It was a challenge where he's went in at Murphy's legs and he's left an indentation from his studs on Murphy's shin. I mean, that kind of says it all for me. I definitely think he should have been sent off for that. Um, but maybe I'm a little bit, because we get a lot more sendings off these days than we used to. So maybe the VAR times is kind of clouding me on that. But I don't think there's anybody who can disagree that should have been a sending off. Really.
And then the next one was a Bizat sending off, actually getting sent off, but which was right. He should have been sent off. But for me, they sent him off for the wrong reason. I believe after at half time after the game, it was stated that he was sent off for
Yeah.
being through on being 1-on-1 in goal, which he wasn't. There was an Aston Villa player further back than him. I think he should have been sent off for dangerous play. But again, they've come to the right decision, but for
Yeah.
the wrong reason, in my view.
As long as they got the decision right, I can kind of let them get away with saying, "Oh," because I mean, I guess really it was going to be a goal scoring opportunity, although he was running away from goal, and there is a chance that we were going to somehow fluff that. I mean, it was, but it was good away from goal, but you had to send the player off for that. You can't. I mean, I don't know if the Aston Villa goalkeeper thought that this was like the Royal Rumble or something, and he thought, "Oh, I'll go in with a nice leg lariat, and then I'll get up and I'll hit the ropes." But well, you can't do that on a football pitch. You need to stay in your goal. And you catch the ball with your hands. We'll give you some gloves to remind you which part of your body you're allowed to use. Don't go up and leg lariat people in their stomach. That's definitely against the rules. Can you imagine if
100%.
he hadn't been sent off for that? Can you imagine?
I know. It was a shocking decision. Just a reminder, we've got a little quiz going on in the chat. We're looking for Newcastle United players. We're going to do the alphabet. We've started with A. We've got one. We've got Albert, so that was great. So let's move on to B. So any Newcastle United player that's played in the
Nice.
Premier League, beginning with the letter B. Right, the penalty decision with the handball. What a joke that decision was. How the hell
I know.
he obviously seen what had happened. The referee seen what happened. How didn't he realize that ball that the player was inside the box? It was absolutely shocking. And then you've got a linesman who's even closer, who didn't say, "Hang on, you've got that wrong. It's outside the box." I don't know what you thought, Tina, but I don't know how they got that one wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it was for me that one was the referee's assistant there. I don't know how you can see somebody putting, like, I mean, the line where he draws the semicircle for the free kick to be taken, that was almost in a different postcode from where the handball happened. Like, it's not. I mean, if it was close, fair enough. It was on the line, fair enough. But it happened inside the box enough for you to, like, between where the handball happened and where the free kick was taken from. I could have parked my car, and my car's not that small. Like, I could have literally parked up, got out, probably even made myself a little picnic outside the back of my car. There was that much space between where the incident was and where the referee decided the free kick was to be taken from. We've got a few answers
100.
on B as well by the looks of it.
I did, yeah. I've put them up in the chat, so I'll put them up in the on the screen. So we've got B's
Nice.
now. So should we move on to C's? So just any players played for Newcastle in the Premier League, beginning with C. Um, I think that this is a good point made here by Steve. Sorry, but sorry, but that was an attack on Murphy. Was indefensible. He got nowhere near the ball. His studs were up, and he put a whole. Oh, sorry, it's dropped off. He put the whole of he won't get a yellow card. Traced at Stamford Bridge. Completely agree, mate. That was an absolutely shocking one. I don't know how the referee got it, didn't see it, and didn't pick up on it. Again, it was right on the line. So why hasn't the linesman picked up on that? But anyway, let's move on to the positive things. Justice was served. We got the goal. What did you think?
Yes,
How did you think
it
that the
was.
free kick went and the Tonali's goal?
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously, Tonali's goal. I would have, every time that there's a goal that goes in with such a big deflection, I do always have in the back of my mind, oh, I wonder whether that would have went without the deflection. But I mean, he left no doubt in my mind at all with the second one. So, and it was great. I mean, we knew that it was going to be hard to pick up victories, especially on the road, and especially against teams performing well without Bruno in the team. Um, and I think Tonali was the one that we all kind of hoped was going to step up. And for absolute ages now, we've been crying for, him to get a little bit of freedom in midfield and to pull the trigger, because everybody talks about how strong and how good a shot he's got. And I don't think we really get to see it very often. So for him to just hit two of them from outside the area yesterday, and for them to be so sweetly hit as well. I mean, I was delighted that he stepped forward with that. Like I say, the first one, I was just delighted that we scored, because the longer the game went on, I was starting to get a little bit worried. I was, and because of the injustices we'd seen in the game, I was like, this is going to be one of them where everyone's going to be kicking off. And then once he scored, I was like, okay, no, we've got this. We're going to win this now.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, but I obviously, when I seen the goal, I seen it was deflected, and my first thought was, I hope that was on target. Simply so that Tonali got the goal given for it for him, and obviously it was on target, so
Yeah,
it is a Tonali goal, which
yeah,
was
yeah.
brilliant. First goal of the season, and I do have to just say on Tonali, but we'll get on to his second goal, which was brilliant in a minute. But he bossed that game, especially the second half, but even the first half. And he went out there, and I'd said last week he needs to step up. Now Bruno's out for a little while. He needs to, we'll come on to that, but he needs to,
Mhm.
become the maestro in midfield, the leader, because obviously the other players haven't played as much as him and things like that. And he really did in that game. I don't know what you thought of Tonali's performance, but he was man of the match for him by a mile for me.
Yeah, I was delighted with Tonali. I mean, I've always been I wasn't one of these who turned on Tonali. I've always said, look, Tonali's world class, and I even caught a bit of flack from that, from some areas. But I was delighted to see Tonali really step up, really boss the game, and in his reactions when he was scoring the goals, like not just the um the hug for Eddie Howe, but the way that he was like, you can see when a player's got an emotion and he's punched through the air. Like there's a
Yeah.
difference between just punching the air and feeling it. And he ran over to the Newcastle fans after his second one, and it was great to see. But that's the type of performance we need from Tonali, and especially if Bruno's going to be out for, was it 6 weeks that they said, 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, if he's going to be out for that long,
I
this
think
is
it's
where we
8 to
really
10 weeks
need
now.
8 to 10. That's even worse than I heard, man. So yeah, we're gonna need Sandro to be every bit the midfield maestro from Milano that we bought him to be.
Yeah. And I mean, his second goal what was amazing. To hit a ball that cleanly with no spin on it whatsoever, just it was like a bullet going into the back of the net. I really don't think any keeper in the world would be saving that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, and that's the one. I mean, as you say, there was that little bit of doubt with the deflection in the second one, with the first one. Like, oh, if it hadn't have taken the deflection, would it have went in? Would the keeper have got to it? He left us with no doubt for that second goal. It was an absolute. To put it in old school, I don't know if anywhere else outside of the northeast uses this, but it was a peach of a goal. Absolute
It was perfect,
perfect
wasn't it?
goal.
Right, we'll go with D in the chat, lads. So for the lads and lasses for the players. So any Premier League player beginning with D. Um, well, Newcastle
Yeah.
Premier
So
League
for
player.
C, we had Colaccini, which is a
We
player
did.
who used to be a hero on Newcastle.
We had Cole and Chopra as
And
well.
that was
Who
Cole
I
and
think
Chopper mentioned. I probably wouldn't have
thinking
mentioned
back to the
Chopper
day.
since where he went, but
I think we've got to be careful with that though, because there's a few players that have came our way haven't they, from Sunderland. Right, Baltimore. Do you think his goal will help him now? Do you think that'll give him the confidence that he needs moving forward?
I hope so. I mean, like I say, I think Walter Morris, performance yesterday was it gave me a lot of hope because I think at the start, and there are people who are saying that he was just fantastic the whole game, and I think at the start, to be honest, I was a little bit worried about his movement off the ball. I didn't think he didn't look like he wanted the ball for the first like a few minutes of the game, and he looked a little bit devoid of confidence. But then there was a point where he just kind of started putting himself about a bit, and he started, directing traffic a little bit with pointing and shouting, and he really then started to move a lot and create a lot of space for sorry about that, for like Ramsey in behind him, for example. Um, and yeah, he's started really showing up with his touches. He looked quite strong on the ball, which a lot of people have been saying that he lacks a bit of strength. But he looked strong on the ball, and that goal. I mean, what I loved about that was him without confidence might have left that because obviously there was a player like right next to it. I think was it Willock who was running through onto it as well?
I think it
Or was
was.
it Murphy?
I think
I
it
think it
might be
was Willock,
Willock.
and he just ran through onto it, and the finish was sublime. I mean, you can score a goal, and then you can absolutely wallop a goal, and that's what he did for that, and I was delighted. And I think that should. The only thing I would think might knock his confidence is how badly his knee slide went. I mean, there's bad knee slides, and then and then there's what he did after that celebration. But yeah, delighted for Waldemar, and I think that'll be something that's going to really boost him in confidence, which we need right now, especially with Wissa potentially picking up another injury and him again not really playing as confidently and as well as we were hoping. So yeah, I think with the Walter should have bags of confidence from that goal. And I was delighted for him as well on his birthday, on his 24th birthday.
Was his 24th birthday. I quite like the position he played yesterday. I think they've found a position where he can actually play. It was sort of a pushing forward 10, so he did drop back into midfield to help out quite a lot when we didn't have the ball, but he also sort
Mm.
of what was ready to go forward and was helping out the striker. Well, he was basically holding the ball up. Sula didn't really get into the game much, in my opinion, but Voldemort, I liked him a lot in that role, and I don't, as you say, I think he didn't get on the ball a lot at the start, but once he started to find his feet, he did then sort of come into the game, and I don't remember him giving the ball away much. He was in tight because of the position where he was, right in the center of the pitch. He was in tight positions at times, but he managed to wiggle and work his magic way out of them and play the ball off, which I think helped us as a team go forward as well. I don't know what you thought, Tina.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely. I mean, I don't remember him giving the ball away at all, and I'm sure it would have stood out because Walter Moore is one of the players that I watched quite closely because I was quite high on Walter Moore when he first came in, and then I found out that he's a vegan, and I was like, oh yeah, I love Walter Moore even more. So I keep quite a close eye on him, and obviously with him, with people having an opinion on his form over the past couple of months. I was watching him. He definitely didn't lose the ball. I think because there's been a lot of debate about whether Waldemar is a number 9 or a number 10. And I think, and people always say, well, for Germany, he plays number 9. And he does. And before he came to us, he was definitely more of a forward than a number 10. But I think for the way that we play, I think as in our system, he suits the number 10 role more. And I think we saw that yesterday. He's he does like to drop back, and in the team that works around that, you can have a number 9 that plays as like a deep player forward. You can have like a Harry Kane or a Berbatov. You can fit that type of player in if your team can play like that. But the rest of our team just doesn't seem to do that. Like I don't know if that's a natural thing or if that's based on the tactics. But in the number 10 role, with him having like an Asula ahead of him, or maybe eventually a Wissa ahead of him, I think we've found in our setup the perfect position for him.
Yeah, but I agree completely with that. He's he has got that little bit of skill that uh, and in that role, it sort of it involves him in the game. I think when he's playing up front by himself, he struggles to get involved in the game. but in that formation, he's centre pointer to a lot of things. I think that's what he needs and
Yeah.
likes, and it was. I thought it was a great performance. Do you want a bit of positive news from us, Tina?
Yeah,
Here,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, I would
This
love that.
I heard this actually after the game on the BBC. 5 out of the last 6 times Villa and Newcastle have played each other. Sorry, yeah, 5 out of the 6 times that Newcastle and Villa have played each other in the FA Cup, the winners went on to win the cup itself.
We're winning the lot. We're
Winning the
we're
lot.
winning the lot. It is actually. I think the chat might have moved on to E already without
I think they have.
our knowledge, because I've just seen
We'll
like
move.
BK being mentioned in the fair play.
We'll move on to E. I think there were some questionable answers in the last in D's, but we'll move on to E. So we've got Enrique there from Choppy first of all.
Who was your favourite player out of the D's that were mentioned?
Well, I've actually when I've seen it go through, probably even though I know what he did and it got rid of obviously Bobby and things, but I think Dyer was a great player for a while. I used to love watching him play. What about yourself?
I mean, he was definitely part of a good team. Let me just have a little look. Who else was mentioned? Army was mentioned. I don't remember DeLong playing for us.
Oh.
I don't think Elliot, because I mean, out of the players who's been mentioned, I'm gonna go with Dubravka just because of his assist in that recent game that he gave to that he gave to us.
I mean, I've seen Damien
But I'm
Duff as well
surprised we
there.
didn't say. I would have probably went with like Duff or Dabizas.
Yeah.
For whom my favorite player beginning with D from the past would have been, I would think. We've got a couple of good shouts so far for the E's though. Enrique, I loved him when he played for us.
He was
Another
brilliant.
one that went to Liverpool. Alanga being mentioned, but a player who I don't hear people going on about him as much as I did back in the day. I mean, I was only young when he played for us, but Emre Belözoğlu. Do you remember him? He was a cracking player, wasn't he?
He was a nasty little player. He was you would never ever wanted to play against him. He was one of those people that you thought to yourself, if I was picking a five-a-side team, I'd pick you first. Not because you're the most technically gifted, but just because I would never want to play against you. A bit like a David Batty sort of player.
That's fair. Yeah. You've probably named one that was missed by the viewers for B there, actually. But yeah, sorry to go off topic there. What was
Yeah.
it that we were?
No, that's
saying?
fine.
Oh yeah,
That-
so the one thing that I wanted to mention as well about the you were saying that the winner of the Aston Villa Newcastle game can go on and win the FA Cup. It's also, isn't it like exactly 70 years or something since we last won the cup?
I think it is. Well, it will be because it was 70 years for a domestic trophy, wasn't it? And the League Cup wasn't around in them days. You only had the FA Cup, so unless it was the champion, unless it was
That'll be the one.
the first division at the time, I think it will have been the FA Cup. Sure, we won it a few times in the 50s, so that'll be around the right time period. We'll go on to do some of the starred chats before we move on. So, what do you think of this one, Tina?
Absolutely.
There would have been a sit-in in the Toon if we'd lost yesterday. I think that's right, isn't it?
I mean, there might have been, to be fair. I think not so much because of like the performance from us. I think because of the performance from the officials. I think there would have been absolute hell on.
100%. I think that's what they mean, sort of, because of the officiating. I think it would have looked like we'd been robbed if we hadn't went through yesterday, wouldn't it?
Oh, totally,
And
100%. I think everybody
yeah,
said that as well. I mean, there's no, sorry, go on.
no, go on, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say there's a YouTuber who I think she's a Manchester United fan actually, who I watch, and she was very much like so my reason for mentioning her is because even fans of other teams have been saying if Newcastle had lost that game yesterday, there would have been absolute kickoffs, and rightfully so. I think a lot of and even when we've won, I mean, it says something when rival fans, although she actually always speaks quite nicely of Newcastle, but when rival fans are looking at a game that you've won, And the first thing they're saying is, if Newcastle had lost that game, that would have been an absolute diabolical robbery. I think that kind of says
Yeah,
something, doesn't it?
100%. So we've got another one here from Emma. I'm amazed at how the
Somebody's
players
actually
respond.
naming them in the crowd as well. Sorry, go on.
I've got another chat here from Emma, just saying I was amazed how the players responded to everything yesterday. We weren't given go to win. Sorry, we weren't given a go on to win. Sums up the day. Come on, fifth round. Exactly. Yeah, I think everything that could go against we did, but we did go on to win the game, which was brilliant. Another, just a quick one from Rosa here. Tina, you're the bee's knees. All agree with that, was I?
Thank you very much, Rosa.
And final one for this little section. I think we would have given Walt and Sandro a whole heap of confidence, especially with 95% of the decisions going against us. Let's hope so. Both those lads, I think, have went off the boil in the last couple of months, but we're seeing them come back to somewhere near the best in that game. Let's hope that continues. I think, let's hope it builds up their confidence, and from now on, they become the players that we know they are. Do you think that could happen, Tina?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think if there's a type of game that you want players to really find their form again in it, it's one where we've had like a controversial decision or things have looked like they've gone against us, because that can ignite a little bit of a fire in your belly. And to know that those two players, who I'm sure their confidence has been knocked by, a couple of the performances. I know Waldemar been looking a little bit downtrodden in certain games where he's been on the bench, or he's not had a good performance that he's came off. So for him to bag that goal and for the team to claw back from, a game where, because you can say, oh, it was down to 10 men, rightfully so, by the way. You can't kick players, like I was saying before, but we were definitely up against it with the officiating. So to come in a game like that and win, especially against a team who's in such form, I think that's going to boost the confidence of the whole team, and especially Tonali and Waldemar, who's going to have their praises sung by all of the Northeast over this weekend, I'm sure.
100%. We'll move on to F for the footballers. So Premier League players that have played for Newcastle, whose name begin with F. So Tina, I know you sat and watched the ladies' game the day, and I've got a few of the stats on it. What were your thoughts on the game? What did you think about it?
First of all, Hobby the Lasses, delighted to see us get a win today, 2-0 victory. It was a scrappy game. I think we kind of we ended up playing we kind of got dragged down to Portsmouth level, I think. But yeah, it was good. I mean, we were definitely on the front foot the entire game. But I don't think we got a hold of the game as much as we have done for a lot of the games we played previously this season. But what a turnaround that the team's had since Tanya has came in and taken over. I mean, she's got the team really pushing for promotion, and yeah, delighted for the lasses for another great victory.
Do you think it was the right decision? Was Becky before, wasn't it, that they got rid of? Do you think it was the right decision
It
to
was
do that?
Becky. Yeah, yeah. I think we've seen it this season. We've seen a lot of teams that have got it wrong in the men's game where you've replaced the manager. We've seen it I mean, what on earth's going on at Nottingham Forest? We've seen it at Tottenham. We've seen it where it can definitely have an adverse effect. But Tanya coming in to take over from Becky, and Becky had said herself that she thought she'd gone as far as she could with the team, and she didn't think that she was the right woman for the job anymore. But Tanya's came in, and I mean, she's got the lasses really believing in themselves. And I mean, we're looking like a team that could push forward. She's made some really good signings. I know she didn't play today, but Savannis has been great. But Torpe and Gregory down the left, I mean, they look like an absolute a terrorizing pair to come up against for any like right back or right sided midfielder. So yeah, I'm very very happy for Tanya and the lasses.
Excellent. And just for the game itself, it was Murphy who scored the first goal. Did you see the goal? Was it a good one?
Yeah, I mean it was a good cross in from the right from Joe, and it was a nice little left footed volley. She got herself in front of the goalkeeper, it's one of them crosses that it was quite close to the goalkeeper, but I mean it was reacted on so quickly, and yeah, it was a definite good little strike as finished, I think, from Murphy.
Excellent. And then it was Lumsden that scored the second goal, I believe. Was that a good goal, or was it a bit scrappy? Because I did dip in and out of the match, but it seemed to be a very, very boggy pitch at the Gateshead International Stadium.
It was a scrappy game, and her goal was actually really well taken. Again, Joel involved, and so she's been massively involved in that game. And she just kept fighting for the ball, and then the finish was. I think the finish was a bit cleaner than the volley, but yeah, dominating performance by the end. We did look, to be fair, I mean, we were on the front foot. It looked like we might have even been going to grab a third, but I think, to be fair, that maybe would have flattered us in that game.
Yeah. And just to confirm, Newcastle are now fourth in the league, on the same points as Bristol City, who are third. But Newcastle do have a game in hand. I believe they play that playoffs. There's a playoff on that for the third position, isn't there? For people going up. So we're not too far
Yeah,
off. I'm
so
only 3 points off the automatic.
top two get automatic promotion, and then third position goes into a playoff game against the team that finishes. I think it's bottom of the WSL, or third bottom of the WSL, one of the two. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. They play against one of the WSL one teams, and so third place has a chance, but has to play an extra game.
Okay, and we'll move on from the ladies' team now. But just to say, the Women's Super League 2, the next match is on the 14th of March, and that's against Sheffield United women. Do we know why there's such a gap between the games? That's a month. Is there a winter break or something?
I'm thinking international break. I was actually just trying to
Right.
find out there.
Yeah.
But I would think potentially an international break. We've got a few international players as well, so hopefully they do well for their respective nations.
Excellent. So shall we move on to the FA Cup now and just a general roundup of the weekend on that? I was hoping we were going to
Yes.
have. I was hoping we were going to have a lot of upsets in it, and sort of teams that the underdogs coming through, but it didn't really
Does
happen, did it?
Mansfield Town count?
Yeah, I think I've wrote Mansfield Town down against Burnley. It's a
Yeah,
Premier League
I
team, isn't
watched
it?
the
So
highlights. Yeah, I
yeah,
watched the highlights of their game. Did you see their goal? I mean, the free kick. What a
yeah.
free kick!
I know. There was some great goals this weekend in the FA Cup. And you know what? Apart from
Yeah.
our game, I do quite like the fact that there's no VAR, so that you can sort of you can enjoy the game and you see the players actually celebrating when they score, and not having to worry about the fact that they might be offside by a toenail or something. It's quite refreshing to see a decision
That's the
just made on the pitch.
The one good thing I'll say about not having a VAR is that when a goal goes in, you can celebrate it. There's not that little, yeah, and then you're waiting, and then you're waiting, and then you're waiting, and then you find out that it's not offside, and then you're like, yeah, and they've kind of lost that the adrenaline by then. But after our game yesterday, I am never in my life going to say a bad word against VAR ever again. I'm VAR's biggest fan. I'm going to send VAR a Christmas card this year. I know that's a while off, but yeah, I'm never saying a bad word against them again after watching our players get them leg lariated halfway up the pitch. But yeah, the rest of the games, there was a level of like FA Cup magic, if you like, to just knowing that when a goal goes in, and even in the back of my mind, there was still, like, when I was watching the highlights, I was like, there was a thought of like, oh, is that offside? And then I'm thinking, oh, it's not, doesn't matter. It's a goal now.
But we'll just quickly nip back into the players. So we had F. I think my favourite player that I seen go through was Ferdinand, Les Ferdinand. Brilliant player forward.
Ferdinand,
Absolutely
absolutely.
legend. Kick. Um, I loved Les Ferdinand. He was one of my favourite players. Also an honourable mention, because I'd forgot all about him, Rule Fox. I hadn't seen his name in years. I don't know what happened to him,
Full
but
Fox. Do you know what it
you
is? I,
might be
I
too
don't.
young.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, because obviously being a Newcastle fan, I've done a lot of, I've watched a lot from the Keegan era. I'm
Yeah.
aware of players, and I am aware of Real Fox playing for us, but I cannot find a lot on him at all.
No, no, he
He's
was a
not one of
great
those players who stands out.
little winger. He was never going to be of a high standard, but he was a great player. But Ferdinand, as I say, would have been my favourite. Who would yours have been out of those?
Who else did we have in the Fs? Let me just have a little look who we got. We've got, yeah, out of the ones who've been named 100%. It's although hold on, I've seen Fi mentioned. I do remember him, so I did quite like him. But no, I think Ferdinand. I still love listening to him to this day. He's a world class centre forward, wasn't he? I mean, I'll have to agree with you on this one.
100%. That's great. So we'll move on to G. G for Premier League players that played for Newcastle. So with the FA Cup, the teams that are left in it now, would you have a preference over who we're playing next? So I mean, the likes of, I just for me, I just want to get an easy draw. I'd love to get Wrexham. That would be my dream. Us with Wrexham at home at St James's Park. But I think Eddie deserves a little bit of luck in the draws. So a Mansfield Town or something like that at home, just or a Norwich
Yeah,
City. I don't know what you think, but a
yeah.
home draw
I mean,
first, but then a small team.
Wrexham would be nice because I'm a big fan of their owner. So it would be nice to have a little bit of interaction with Wrexham, just purely based on that. But I mean, I would feel quite bad for them if we absolutely turned them over. Whilst at the same time, I would love to turn them over. I'd probably, I mean, with our luck, we're probably going to get like Chelsea or Liverpool because I mean that's what we do, isn't it? We never do things the easy way. But there's a lot of teams in there. I mean, I'm just looking at who's in the draw now. You've got Norwich City, you've got Southampton, you've got, I mean, there's some good Premier League teams. Sunderland's still in there. I know a lot of people would probably quite like to see that rematch kind of play itself out, having Sunderland have to come back to St James's Park and put right what once went wrong. But I can't really argue with Wrexham. Just I'd like us to, because I don't think they'll go mega far in the rest of the FA Cup. No disrespect to them. Definitely no disrespect to Mr. Reynolds, their owner. But I would love to be the team to put an end to their FA Cup run this year, shall we say?
100% same. And as I say, Eddie does deserve a little bit of a lucky draw at some point. He's
Oh yeah.
constantly had, sort of big teams in every cup competition. So let's just have a nice easy fifth round and be able to move on to the next round. We've got a load flying through for G's,
I mean,
Christina. So I
sure,
don't
but
know.
he has to get a lucky draw once.
He does. Just saying, we've got a load flying through for G's. We've got Ginola, Gillespie, Gutierrez, some great
Do you know?
players. Who would it be for you?
Yes, fantastic players. We've got Stephen Glass getting mentioned halfway through there as well. Um, I would think out of them, I've got to go with Jonas. I can't not go with Jonas. I mean, he was my favorite player when he was at the team. Um, but obviously, if I had been as into football as I am now at the time, I mean, David Ginola, going back and watching, some of his goals and the way he played, I think I would have been massively, massively into him. But yeah, Jonas Gutierrez for me. Oh, Jeremy's getting a mention though. I did like the very unmentioned time period in Newcastle United was Kevin Keegan's second run at the team. And I remember being quite a fan of Jeremy at right back at that point, even though I don't think we'd signed him as a right back, but he played at right back under Keegan, and I actually became a bit of a fan of him as well.
100%. For me, maybe Ginola and Gillespie would be the ones that would stand out. I think it's just because of the time period that I watched football, but grew up with football basically. But I would walk over hot coals to have them two players of their level back at the club on the wings for they really were
Yeah.
immense and really good players. especially Ginola. I mean, Ginola just was a special player. I don't know if you have ever seen the when the old players talk about him. I think it was Steve Howe, and he says Ginola used to, the first game he played, he came on and then got on the coach afterwards, and he went, "Will the boss mind if I smoke?" And they went. So the rest of the players started laughing to themselves, and they went, "No, no, you won't be bothered at all. Just light up." So he started smoking on the bus, and then Keegan came on, obviously, and says, lost his blood, and went, "Look, you can't be smoking on you're a Premier League footballer." So I think he would have been a hard one to manage, Ginola,
No, I
but
mean that's wild to think that
great
that
player.
even happened.
I know, I know. So we'll move on to H now. So any player that's played for Newcastle United whose name begins with an H. Right. So the talking points of this week. So what I've done is I've looked back over the shows that we've done over the last week or so, and just sort of picked up on the talking points that we were talking about at the start of the week, and then moved it on to sort of where we are at the end of the week. So we started off the week. So I'm going to count the Brentford game,
Nice.
unfortunately. So we start off the week with the 2-3 loss
Oh.
to Brentford. Some of the things that were being mentioned we're a club in crisis and would hit rock bottom. What did you think at that time, Christina? I can well imagine your answer to
I'm gonna
this,
be
but
honest.
yeah.
Well, actually, you're not going to be prepared for my answer to this because I am delighted that we lost to Brentford, and let me tell you why.
Right.
Because last season we also lost to Brentford, and after that game, the players had a meeting, and we became an unstoppable force for the rest of the season, who went on to lift the first trophy in 70 years. This season, we've again lost to Brentford. It was a horrible game. Don't get us wrong. I was not happy on the day. I was on here, holding the fort because for the happy clapper team as I was getting absolutely pounded by people for being a happy clapper. But after that game, the players have pulled themselves together. They've had a little meeting led by Bruno and Kieran, and I mean, look at what's happening. All of a sudden, we're starting to look like a team again.
So do you think in a strange way the game that we lost could be the game, because we've all been saying when we win a game, but a game that we've lost could be the game that actually turns around as a team?
Yeah, and I think one thing I said on the show yesterday is we need to start somehow rigging the draw at the start of every season. Where the fixture list comes out. We need to get Brentford first game every season. We need to have a disappointing loss against them, and then just go on being untouchable for the rest of the year.
And I mean, to be honest,
That's my
after
strategy, at least.
I mean, after the Brentford game, I was worried about where the season was going. I have been all season because we've been on such a roller coaster, and because I knew I had the away games coming up, I was sort of thinking to myself, "Where's the next win going to come from here? Where are we going to
Mhm.
start picking up points? How are we going to start, developing this team?" And I think over the last couple of games, it has changed. But as I say, particularly after the Brentford game, I was really worried about where we were going as a team. Um, as we're getting so many names through now, should we do H and
Yeah, yeah. Let's have a little look who we've got for H. I mean, I knew that Steve Harper was going to be mentioned. Got a couple of players there
yeah,
who I wasn't fortunate enough to actually see, including Huckabee. I don't know who Haddock and Harvey, unless he means Harvey Barnes. Boom Shaka Hislop has been mentioned, though. I am
yeah,
a big fan of him. I am aware of him. And Steve Howie, obviously, getting a mention as well.
yeah. I mean, Huckabee. It was Darren Huckabee, wasn't it? I think he might have came from Coventry, if I'm not wrong, or could have been Norwich. But he was a okay player. He was never a great player for. Um, but he could do a job. Would be the way I'll put it with Huckabee. For me, I think the person that I would choose from that would be Harper. Steve Harper was, he was a good keeper and he stuck with me. I mean, he did let himself down at the end of his career when he went to Sunderland for a couple of weeks, but I chose Harper as my favourite. Chose Harper in my position, my favourite in that position. Do you have a favourite H
That's
or?
fair.
apart from the one from Steps.
I do like the one from Steps, actually, funny enough. Right up my alley, right from my epoch of music when I was a kid. Is it going to be one of the H's that's on the
No, you can
on the
choose
list?
anyone
Do
you
you think?
want.
In that case, let me have a quick think of who we've got there. So, um, no, I think I'll have to go with Steve Harper. To be fair, I can't really think of anyone out of left field who I would name. In fact, to be honest, I can't even think of many players beginning with a H. Oh no.
Hall.
Well, no. Hold on,
You
because
could pick.
that's
You could
his.
pick Hall with left back.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If we're allowed to pick modern players, obviously Lewis Hall gets a mention every time. I nearly said Hatim for a moment, but then I realised he probably should have been mentioned in the
Yeah,
or
the
Hatem.
B.
He probably should have been mentioned in the Bs, but I'm surprised we didn't get him mentioned. So because he
I know.
wasn't mentioned in the Bs, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to say Hatem Ben Arfa.
Oh, but I suppose that's allowed. I'd be very interested if anybody can get an I. Remember, I've just got to be a Premier League player beginning with the letter I. That's played for Newcastle United. The chat seems to have quietened down very quickly on that one. I do have one myself. So,
I mean, I
and
think one has been mentioned in the chat, but we've not called him by his name beginning with an I. We've called him by his name beginning with TR, which I'm guessing is the one that you were thinking of.
TR.
The
No.
the rodent to not
Oh, I forgot
to
about him.
final
Yes.
point on
Yep.
it.
Isaac. Yep. We've got it. So there's
You
two.
literally forgot he existed.
There's Isaac and there's Island.
Who was the one that you
Stephen
were
Island. He was the one I got, Stephen Island. But I think I've
Stephen
put too
Island?
much thought into this. But yep, Stephen Island was the one I got. He was a midfielder. I think he only played a couple of games for. He came in with a sort of a bit of a weird reputation, and he never set the world on fire here. I can't even remember where he went to. But yep. So I think there's only them two. So I'm trying to do the alphabet in my head here. I think we're on to J now, so we'll move on to J.
J,
We'll, we'll,
yes,
we'll,
J.
yep, we'll give you guys a time to do that. And we'll talk about the next thing that I seen obviously on there's a talking point was the Tottenham game. The
Yes.
talk after that was about it being a great result, start of a turnaround, and to set us up for the FA Cup. Was that how you felt about it at the time, Dina?
I mean, it's definitely proved to be somewhat prophetic that people were saying that, and that's prophetic, not pathetic. I know my Geordie accent doesn't always make it easy to distinguish between words that I use. But yeah, I mean, I think it definitely did kind of show that we were back to moving in the right direction, and it was an away victory as well. And I think that's the big thing, and I think that's what's really helped us yesterday is that the heads didn't drop even after we lost that first goal and before they got a man sent off. I don't think any of the players' heads dropped. I mean, we were very it was a very positive pass from Trippier that led to Bizak being sent off, um, with the ball over the top to Jacob Murphy, and I think that level of drive away from home when you've just went a goal down and things are kind of looking like they're going against you, the fact that we kept our heads up, I think may come back to the fact that we managed to get a victory against Tottenham.
Yeah, 100%. Mind you, I didn't think Tottenham were a great team. I thought they were an awful team, but you can only beat what's put in front of you.
I wouldn't care. They've got one of
So
my favourite players as well. At least before we came to the Premier League, he was one of my favourite players, which is Xavi Simons. I'm a
right,
massive fan of Simmons. And he was one of those players who I didn't know so many people had heard of him. I thought he was just one of these players who I was kind of big on. I was like, oh, I hope Newcastle sneakily signed him under the radar. And then he went to Tottenham. I was like, oh, right, yeah, other teams have heard of him. That's okay. We'll move swiftly on from him then.
so would he be in one of your summer signings?
I would have loved it if we'd signed Xavi. I think he's an interesting player. I don't think Tottenham have used him to his potential. I think that they seem to keep playing him out on the wing. I've never seen him play out on the wing before he came to Tottenham. He's never been like an inverted forward. I've always seen him as a legitimate number 10. Like I think he would have been that creative maestro in midfield that I mean, it's okay now because Big Nick's going to fill in there for me, and everything's going to be fine, and we can forget that summer ever happened. But yeah, Xavi Simmons was high on my list of players I would have loved to have seen.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think again we need to start looking at the different markets, don't we? We do need to do some things different with transfers, especially after the summer we had this year. So yeah, I completely agree. We're going out and getting somebody like that would be great. So looking back at the week, Christian, do you think we've had a brilliant week, a good week, a poor week? I don't think we'll go down the poor route, but what type of week do you think we've had as Newcastle United fans, taking into account the 3 games?
I mean, I think it's been because I can now see the positives of the Brentford game. I mean, the week started absolutely down in the dumps. I mean, I was just sitting there, just listening to people talking about how Eddie had run his course and it was a disgraceful match and the team had no drive. And we've finished. From there, we've had the players galvanizing around the manager, which I think is very important as well because you can whatever you want to happen in the future, you can want to happen in the future. But if you want success for Newcastle United, you want everybody involved in Newcastle United pulling in the right direction. And to have that, you need the players to want to play for the manager that they've got. And they galvanised, they've looked really good. I mean, Trippier started the week with everybody saying, "Oh, he's finished." Even I came on this show last weekend and said, "Oh, I think Trippier might have run his course. I think it might be." And to be fair to him, he's been actually quite fantastic for the rest of the week. I've been very impressed with him, even outside of the players' meeting. I've actually been quite impressed with how Trippier's played. And I know he's lost a yard of pace, but I think he's definitely picked up. And to now be playing and getting victories without Bruno even being in the team, as much as I want Bruno to be in the team as much as possible, yeah, it's turned into an actual fantastic week. I think there was a lot of high tension early in the week, and I think we're now kind of in that position where I'm allowed to say the words "we're back" without being absolutely laughed at and having bits of fruit thrown at me from across the studio. So I'm quite happy. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I agree. I mean, obviously, it was disappointing the Brentford game. We all came away from that, I think, feeling low. And I think Eddie himself,
Mhm.
maybe he's turned him and the players around that game. We were as low as probably as low as a snake's belly after that one because you sort of think to yourself, we shouldn't be losing a game like that. W- with Newcastle United, we should be beating Brentford. But then, obviously, as you say, they had the meeting, they've G'd themselves up. Eddie's changed things around with the team, which is nice to see. And we went on to get results. So, yeah, I think it,
Yeah.
and I think the one great thing about yesterday was I hope Trippier wasn't injured when he came off. But seeing and then using the youth, using young Murphy to come on and um,
Alex
and
Murphy on the
play.
right,
Yeah.
weirdly enough.
Alex Murphy is the right back, yep. So, it was good to see a young player coming on, which I've been asking for. We've been asking
Yep.
for. It was just a really, really positive. It's been a positive end of the week. It's been really, really positive, and I think hopefully from here we'll move on and we'll start to get the results we need and things like that. And we do well in the cup. We'll go in the Champions League. We'll go in the Premier League. We'll get that a little bit higher up, and things start to the season starts to take off.
Yeah.
Because
And
that's what we all want.
could I just say as well, I've never been worried about Eddie Howe. Well, like I mean, except for when he had his illness, obviously that was quite shockingly worrying. But I've never been worried about Eddie Howe until after that Brentford game. And what I heard in that press conference, I honestly thought, "Oh, that's it. He's walking. He's 100% reached his level. He's ready to walk." Because he was saying things about how he started to sound very unsure of himself. And but I think we saw after the players had kind of rallied around him, and the scenes at the end of the Tottenham game, that I mean, some fans, and I think mostly rival fans, have been like, why is he acting like he's won the World Cup in that game? But I think there was that much emotion, and I think he was that downhearted by not only the season that we were having, but the performance itself against Brentford, and when we've, the reaction that we've had to that. I mean, him absolutely Jurgen klopping it in the corner with the fans was an absolute delight to see. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm happy for Eddie Howe above anything else at the moment, to be fair.
100%. I'm going to read out a couple of the chats, but before I do, obviously, we've got a lot of people watching. It's mine and Tina's first show together. If you could give
It
her a
is.
like, that would be absolutely fantastic. And don't forget,
We
you
would
can
love it.
subscribe. Yep, we would love it. You can still subscribe and become a member down there as well. So anything you want. And I am trying to keep up with the chats, but there are a lot coming through. So if you want to guarantee it to be read out,
Yep.
you can do a super chat. But I'll try to keep up as best I can. So we'll go to a couple of the chats. So David there, wait till we
Mhm.
get our new training complex and running with a couple of a couple of multi clubs editions, and then we'll be able to
Mhm.
really worry the top six, which I think
Big
is a
talking
fair
point,
point.
actually, that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
very, very good point.
go on then. Just if a big talking point. What do you think of that? Do you think we will if we get to the new training ground? We'll be able to develop as a club.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I've been, I know some people have said, well, the training facilities aren't going to make a difference, but I think they will. I think having top of the range training facilities are going to be massive for our development, not only for the first team, but for the the reserves and then the youth below that. I think it's going to be a massive step. The other thing that I was saying was it was a massive talking point though is that whole multi club thing that came out this week that we are apparently looking into, which is I mean it's working out all right for the other Premier League clubs that are doing that, but I think there'll be a lot more talk about that moving forward over the coming weeks, I would think.
You hope so. I mean, we keep hearing the sounds that this training ground's going to happen. I just want to see it started now. I know these
I
things take a lot of
know.
planning and things like that, but you know, I think as Newcastle United fans, we're all very impatient. So I really just want to see it start, and we start to get the see and reap the benefits if we're getting that. Another one for you from
Yeah,
about Jacob Ramsey. This is our current best player. He has a possession percentage in the 90s. That's good. It is good. I just wish I know he was injured at first, but I just wish we'd seen a little bit more of him earlier in the season. I don't know what you think, Tina.
yeah. I mean, I think it was quite a step up from. I mean, I know Aston Villa are a great side, and especially proving that this season. But I don't think he was ever. He was never classed as he's either the first choice or second choice in his position when he was at Aston Villa. And I mean, I watched a couple of little videos of him when we signed him because I hadn't seen a lot of him, and I was quite excited by him. I thought, oh, yeah, he's got a bit of technique. He put himself about, and I was a little bit bemused by how underperforming I thought he was doing, but I'm delighted. I mean, since he started kind of since he's had his run of games, I'm really positive and excited for him. I think he's really shown himself to be a potential first team regular.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we do get well, especially Joe Linton when he comes back to see how the dynamic of the team goes. Then will Eddie
Mhm.
go back to his tried and tested for the big games, or will he give Ramsey a chance in them, or sometimes even Willock? They've both been playing well over the last few games.
Yeah.
Maybe they are now the future, and we need to start playing them. Because I mean, if we can get a player back like Willock was, he was great when he first came here. Can
Mhm.
we save a little bit of money in the summer by that lad staying, and then we're not having to pay a fortune out for another midfielder? If we're only going to get 20 million for him now, is it worth it? I mean, don't get me wrong. In January I was saying sell, 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 but at this point I'm beginning to see a player there now. I don't know what you think of him.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved Willock the whole time since we got him. I always thought he was exciting when we first got him, and then some of the the passing and the touches that he was doing in that the season when he was I think it was 2 years ago when he was like sending like outside of the foot passes over the top onto on for Isak to go on to score. I mean he was I mean it's why we started calling him Willikinho, wasn't it? I mean it started really looking like a player who was gonna really set the world alight with his football, and then he suffered quite a bad knock with the injuries, and I think since then he went through a little bit of a time where I don't feel as if he had a lot of faith in his body. I feel like he wasn't, he's running. He looked like he'd lost a yard, and he wasn't really going in for tackles. He wasn't trying to take players on. I think he's got a lot more confidence now in his health and in his body, and I think he's starting to trust himself a bit more. And there's been a couple of performances this season where the fact that we turned down a bid for him in the January actually, I was quite happy to see that, because I do think there's still a player there, and I do still think he's got a lot to give to the team. And he's finished. I know it was offside, but that finish against Tottenham, I mean, that was top class. If only he'd got himself a short back and onside before the game, like you said, he would have scored probably my favourite goal of the season if that had stood.
I think with Willock as well, sort of, he does give, as you say, he gives you that goal threat, which is sometimes
Mhm.
what we struggle with midfielders. I know Bruno gets a few, but Tonali's not a prolific scorer, and neither is J7. But I do think he gives you that goal threat up front.
Mhm.
A great player. And we'll do the final chat that I've got stored here at the minute, which is Tonali with a rare good performance. Maybe the ref got him up for it. I think saying rare good performance is a bit unfair on the lad, to be
Yeah,
honest,
I
if
would
I'm
disagree
perfectly
with
honest
that.
with you. But
I mean, I've seen a
I do,
lot of people who. No, sorry, go on, go on.
no, you carry on.
I was just gonna say I have seen. I mean, obviously I'm a Newcastle fan. I walk in Newcastle circles. I'm part of this channel, part of the chat, part of chats on other YouTubes, and I've seen a lot of people having a go at Sandro this season, and I keep saying it, and it gets pushed back on, but I keep saying Sandro Tonali is legitimately a world class international player. And I know he's had a couple of performances where he's not been the absolute maestro that we know him as, but to write off Sandro Tonali is one of the biggest mistakes I could ever think of anybody making as somebody who watches football. I absolutely love Sandro, and I was delighted for him yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. Um, so in regards to the quiz, which I'm getting behind on, so we're going to have to catch up.
Yes, they're moving
Um,
on without us now. Let's
we
catch
are,
up.
yes. Let's catch up a little bit. So we were on J, I believe. So
Yes.
for me, the best player I've seen, I don't know if you've seen any of them rattle through, Tina, but two of the best players I've seen were Genius as a young pot prospect, me and Genius when he first came to the club.
Yep.
But I think the biggest one for me has been over the last few seasons, it has to be Joe Linton, J7. He's been magnificent forward.
Joelinton. I mean, I love Joelinton. There was a shout for a player who, to be fair, didn't play great for us, but was legitimately a world class player. Well, not world class. I'm going to soften that word that I use for myself if I overuse it. But Joselu, I mean, he went on to actually be really good. We got him, I believe, from Real Madrid. And I can't remember where he went. I think, did he go back to Real, or did he go to?
Can't remember. I think he might have.
Can't, yeah, and he really he when we signed him, I remember it was just as I started to like know a bit about football in different countries, and fantastic player, and then he didn't work out like that, and then he left us, and he went back to being fantastic again. So
Yeah.
he stood out for me, but I would have to go with Joe Linton, because I don't even hide that I'm a massive fan of Joe Linton.
Excellent. So we'll move on to K. I know we've already had a few
Yeah, we've
people
got
put their opinion in. And for anybody new, what we're doing is we're going through players that have played for Newcastle United in the Premier League. So they have to have played for Newcastle in a Premier League game or more. So it's K now. Already seen Clivert go through. I don't think he's going to be my
Clive.
favourite, but we'll see how that goes.
He's
So
another
just
one of those players who either side of, well, before playing for us though. I mean, I've watched clips of the the Barcelona sides, if you want, because they're one of my favourite teams looking back to like history of football. Patrick Kluivert, the fact that he played for us and he's not known as a legend, my brain can't compute how that ever happened. Like the fact that we had Kluivert and Shearer in the same squad, but nobody ever talks about us having Patrick Kluivert. Now, obviously, I know it's because he underperformed when he was with us, but I mean, it was Patrick Kluivert. Can I just say, by the way, I wouldn't mind taking them. Is it his son who's playing now? I mean, I think he's injured at the
Yeah, it
moment,
is.
but I would take him in a heartbeat. He's the new exciting player for me.
Yeah, definitely. Great player. Um, Clivert was brilliant. Was a brilliant player. Unfortunately, when he got here, I think it was he was coming towards the end, and he relied a lot on pace. And I think players
Mhm,
like that, once they get a little bit older, unless they can develop the game, the start of sort of to drop out.
mhm.
So if
Yeah,
we'll move on. Should we do keys? So we're keeping up with this. So
yeah, yeah.
been a few.
Let's have a little look because some
There's been a
interesting
few go
ones.
through. Keegan never played for Win the Premier League. He was a lot earlier. He was the 80s. For me, the ones that have flew through there was the one I forgot about actually was Kets, who was a
Ketspire.
absolute head case at times. I don't know if you ever seen him play, but he,
Well,
the
it's
day where
funny.
he
Just a few days ago, I actually saw what I believe you might be calling him a head case for. Which is there had apparently been some rumours about whether he was going to be getting into a first team position. He had became a little bit upset about not getting in the first team, and then he happened to score a winning goal and went absolute hell for leather on the advertising boards and threw his match shirt into the crowd.
yeah, he lost it that game completely. I mean, as a fan, it's great to see. It's great to see somebody that who cares that much for the team. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, a great player for. Another one that I seen go through was Kitson, who I'd forgot about. You won't remember Paul Kitson. He was brought in after Andy Cole left. He was the sort of the
No, I
striker who
don't.
no, he came in
All right.
basically to sort of cover the period when we'd lost Cole and we didn't have Ferdinand, so he was the next up and coming star. I never ever liked him as a player. I don't know what the chat think, but he never floated my boat at all. I think probably the one I would go for on all of this is Cruel. Was a great goalkeeper for
Mhm.
you know, good lad and a lovely, it was lovely to see him obviously develop with his career. Obviously, he didn't really take off when he left Newcastle, but he did have a good and long career, so he was a really good
Yeah,
player.
he was good for us. There
Yeah.
was another goalkeeper who's just been mentioned under him as well, who I wish with all my heart would have became a good goalkeeper because I absolutely loved him. Followed him on Instagram, and that's Carius.
Yeah.
It didn't
Well,
quite work out for him, did it?
no,
But
was as just saying there, he's give us super chat, so thank you very much, was I?
thank you
Tonali
very
is a
much, was I?
thoroughbred. Yep. Tonali is a thoroughbred in the sorry, I've just lost it. Tonali is a thoroughbred in the Ginola class. I think he's
Yeah,
got
fair
every
point.
chance to be in there, mate. You're quite right. He was a brilliant player forward. So yeah, I completely agree with that, mate. Next
S-
one is L. I need to give the name
Els.
out there that I've got written down. But but L. So if the chat want to carry on with that, we'll move on to we've already touched on it slightly, but Bruno's injury
Yeah,
the game. Obviously, I've forgot the name of the team before
Tottenham,
Tottenham, and then the game at the weekend,
Aston Villa.
the Aston Villa game. I would have been really worried about losing to not losing Bruno for this amount of time.
Hmm.
Did it put your mind a little bit more at rest, or now we had that performance, or do you think? I mean, he's always going to be a massive loss, but do you think we've sort of we can cope with it a little bit better?
I mean, my mind was put a little bit at rest because when everybody was, I don't know if you saw it in the forum chat that we've got, and obviously in the chat that we've got attached to our YouTube videos. The thing that I was saying when everybody was getting worried about that is this is Tonali's time to shine. So the fact that he has shone in at least against Aston Villa has put my mind at rest quite considerably from where it was, because I mean we finally started winning without Bruno, but you still have to look at that stat, and you've got to look at the percentage being like 1% of games now without Bruno, we've managed to get a victory in over like since he signed for the club. And he's so important with his passion, also with his sheer class. I mean, a lot of people, I think, because a lot of people talk about his running and his passion and his drive for the team. I think people do sometimes overlook just how majestic a player he really is. He's a fantastic midfielder, and any team in the world would miss him. But I definitely feel a little bit more confident because of the performance that we've seen from Ramsey and Willock, and especially Sandro Tonali. And I believe Joe Linton is a bit closer to coming back than the likes of Miley and Livramento as well. So that'll be a big boost for us as well while Bruno's missing.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're always going to miss a Bruno, no matter what. I think no matter what Premier League team, if he was out the team, you would miss him. He's that
Mhm.
guy on the pitch that wants to win. He's
Yeah.
got the will to win. He obviously loves Newcastle. He's obviously fell in love with the place when he got here, and we're all going to miss him.
Mhm.
But I have seen shoots of light that I'm not as worried as I would have been maybe as if it was this time last month if we'd lost him. In regards to, I think the
Yeah.
team are stepping up.
Mhm. And we're gonna need that. We're going to need every player we've got really stepping up. I was delighted to see how much of a leader Dan Burn looked yesterday. Because we're going to need leaders on that pitch, and I don't think Trippier's going to necessarily be able to play every game. I mean, I know he's played an amazing run of games recently, but I mean, you would think once Miley gets back, that right back position is going to be shared with him a little bit. And we're going to need leaders on that pitch. So the fact that Sandro has started putting his weight about a little bit, the fact that that Dan Burn, because that's the other thing that we're going to miss is that leadership. And people say, oh well, Bruno's not like a tactician or a thinking captain. He leads by performance, but his personality alone is his leadership. I mean, he's the man who goes and tackles and then celebrates it like he's just lifted the World Cup for Brazil, and that lifts the fans. And anybody who's ever been associated with Newcastle United, for however little time they've been with us, have always mentioned that the fans have a massive impact on what happens on that pitch. And I think maybe that's why we've started seeing these away victories. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but the last two games, our supporters have been absolutely unreal. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was just saying in regards to this, it's amazing the support we get when you go to a place like Aston Villa and you can see the fans, sort of singing and cheering in the background, and the only fans you hear are the Newcastle fans. But we were massively outnumbered in that
I
game,
mean,
but we were the fans that made the noise. Can we just quickly move on
well,
to Elks? I'm conscious of time just to get through all these
yes,
letters.
yes, we,
So
we
yep,
were. It is actually flying.
it is. So
We've got some good
L
ones for L.
Yep. I mean, my favourite for L out of the ones that we've seen would be Rob Lee. I thought he was one of my You
Probably
again, you'll not have seen him play a lot, but he was a great player.
only in videos.
Yeah, he came up and I think he had a choice between us and Middlesbrough, and Keegan sold him the fact that we were not as far north as Middlesbrough, which I think is maybe a little bit question about his geography skills, but no, no, he was a great side, and he's still a great lad to have around the club. I love him when he's doing interviews and things like that. I was surprised the other day. I'm sure he's in his 60s now, or he may be 60.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and a couple of the other ones I'd be mentioning this in the chat is Longstaff and Luar Luar. I forgot about Luar Luar. Was he one that used to do the flips? I think he was.
Lamano Tresor Lawaloa with his backflips. He was
Yeah,
actually banned from doing his backflips after
he
he moved
was.
on from us. I think I might be wrong here. I might be going to let myself down, but I think it might have been Portsmouth that he went to. And it might not have been the definitely, but it might have actually been Brighton. To be fair. But he was doing his backflips, and I love a player who does a backflip. Obafemi Martins was one of my favourite players, and I know not a lot of Newcastle fans rate him highly as one of our number 9s. But you give me a player who does a backflip, I'm a happy lass, okay? So the fact that he did backflips, I absolutely loved him. And then he injured himself, and that was it. His manager was like, no, you're not allowed to do that celebration anymore, ever again.
You can't blame him. So we'll move on to M. So any Premier League players played for Newcastle beginning with
Oh,
M?
I've just given one of them away, haven't I? If
Oh,
I knew the
don't worry,
alphabet,
don't
I'd have been
worry.
okay.
There's loads of M's, so I don't think we'll have any problems with that.
No.
So there was a rumour going around that Tonali wanted away from Newcastle, and that's why he's. This is obviously going back to last week as well. Tonali wanted away from Newcastle, and that's why his performances have been so lacklustre. Do you think, especially the last game and a half, he's proven that that's not the fact? He's putting, great performances.
I mean, I saw when he was on the bench against Tottenham when we scored the winner. I mean, his reaction there said everything for me. I don't think he particularly wants to be away. I know that he's just had a kid, and his wife may be feeling a little bit homesick, and if that's the case, I mean, we have to respect that. But he's looked super passionate. He seems to really be into the manager. I mean, he went over and hugged him after his second goal yesterday, and like I say, I mean, the way that he ran to the fans, and like has a lot of passion for Newcastle. I mean, he's never been a man whose face shows a lot of emotion. I mean,
No.
it's just like, he's almost like a video game of a person. He smiles occasionally, and he's got a nice smile, to be fair, when he does use it, but he never looks particularly angry. He never looks particularly happy. He's just always just Sandro. So to see him showing as much emotion as he is for the team, I think if you've checked out of a team and you're wanting to definitely leave, I don't think you do that. And I don't think he put the performance he did yesterday if he was wanting to move as well.
No, no, and I think he proved as well that he's that Eddie Howe's still got the dressing room. He celebrated the goal and then moved on to sort of give Howe a big hug and celebrate with him. And I think that
Hmm.
showed a lot as well. It showed that
Hmm.
he's still got the team, and obviously, I think both Tonali and Howe had been under pressure, and I think it was them two then, saying, "Look, we've got each other's back here. We're all fighting for
Yeah,
Newcastle United." I thought
yeah,
again, great to see that sort of thing on the pitch. In regards to M, we've had a few M's, so we'll move on to them.
yep.
Just a couple of
Martins
things,
obviously
guys.
is one of them.
Yeah, just a few things, guys. It's the second name that we're going for, so the name that would be on the back of the shirt generally, and it has to be Premier League. So if I'm not putting them up, or if I put them up, some of them are technically wrong. But it's basically second names and who've played in the Premier League. So I think out the ones I've seen go through, I used to like Martins. Thought he was a great striker. I don't think
Oh,
anybody
I
actually knew
love.
how old. I don't think anybody actually knew how old he was. But
What was the song? 23 or 26? Oh, Femi
yeah,
Martins.
yeah. There was always that that, that was, there was always that confusion over how old he actually was. But he would be my shout out from the ones that have gone through yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I already said that I was a massive fan of Femi Martins. I've actually got somewhere. I do have a football top with Martins 9 on the back. He was a player who I was very hot on at the time. And I mean, I don't know if you remember his goal against Tottenham. I think it was Tottenham. And it's one of my favorite goals I've ever seen in my life. It was just. I mean, he's just, you know. There are certain ways but there's a phrase I heard once that you hit a ball and it stayed hit, and I think that's what I would say about that goal. But a couple of other good shouts that we've had in there. At the controversial one, Saint Maximum, is he an M or is he an S? Because I've seen him mentioned as Maxi in the chat. But I don't know if he technically counts as an M. But
I
Mitrovic obviously
don't.
getting a mention as well.
I don't think we'll have rules on this same show, Tina. If this people put it down, we'll go with the flow.
Yeah, and in that case, I think maximum has to be given a shout, because I think when we do get to S, there's going to be other people's favorite players who are going to get mentioned, and I can already think of one or two. So yeah, I think Maxi or Martins would be my pick of the crop. So LMN. So N is our next one.
It is. You're right. I love your alphabet skills there. So yep, move on.
It's better than my math skills on Thursday.
If we move on to N, so any players played for Newcastle United in the Premier League whose name begins with an N, second name begins with an N.
I've got one
So
already this time, actually.
I've got one as well. In regards
Nice.
to this, how's future? Do you think that question's quashed now for the rest of this season? Do I have to just accept that we've got him and he's here to stay?
No, I actually don't think that question's been quashed altogether. It's every manager is going to be based on his performance, and if everything falls apart between now and the end of the season, I think questions will be asked. I mean, I'm rooting for the guy. I've always been a fan of Eddie Howe as Newcastle United manager. Loved him since we got him, and as you have probably noticed, I don't really understand why people have turned on him as viciously as some fans have. And it doesn't compute with me why anybody would want to get rid of him. But I don't think that question is going to be answered until the end of the season. There is still the discrepancy of January, in regards to, he was saying one thing about why there was no players brought in, and Hopkinson had a completely different answer to that. So, there is still a question mark for me about how committed the owners are to Eddie Howe, but he's got a lot of voter confidence. The players clearly are very much behind him, and I would like to think that we'll start next season with Eddie Howe as manager, but I don't think it's been absolutely quashed yet as a talking point.
Interesting. Again, I think a lot's going to depend on. I think he's here at the end of the season now. There's very
Oh
little
yeah,
chance of him leaving before then. But I think a lot depends on where we finish this season. Do we have Europe? Have we done well in a cup competition? So I don't think the room has been quashed completely, but I think for this season it has.
no,
I think I said after the window that it's pointless people coming on the channel every night just going Eddie Howe out.
yeah,
It's a mute point now until the end of the season. Should we do the ends?
yes. So the actual first name that I saw pop up was the one that I had in the back of my mind. Who was it that you were thinking of just before I?
And Zombie was mine.
Mine as well. And Zagbia
Yeah.
was my type of player until he left us. A
Or
couple of other good little shouts on there though. I mean, Sean Neve's getting a mention, which is good to see. But
yeah,
Nolan, a
yeah,
player
Kevin
who I'd
Nolan.
actually forgotten. I don't know how,
Icon
because he famously chicken danced against the
Yeah,
Mackhams, which I have seen the video of. So yeah, Nolan was a good player for us, and he had a good attitude for us, but he was in a terrible side for us. I mean, that was I think that was the season we got relegated, wasn't it? Under Kevin
yes,
Nolan as captain, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. Because I think it was a season that we had the three managers, wasn't it? We had Keegan. Was it Keegan at the start of the season, and
It was
then
Keegan, yeah,
Kinnear came in, and then Shearer came in, and we got relegated.
yeah,
Um, and Zombia, I think probably the thing with him was he lost his love for Newcastle when the late Kinnear called him insomnia. That
yeah,
basically sounded like you sent him to sleep. So great man management that at the time for a winger that was great. Who was
yeah.
great for. Well, really, he was a good player.
hmm I was a big
Sh-
fan of Charlton Zogbia.
Yep. Should we move on to O quickly? So, any
Oh
Newcastle United
yes,
player that have played for Newcastle in the Premier League, beginning with the letter O. Right. So we've decided that Howe can stay for now. The two. So we'll move on to Wissa's injury. Are you worried at all about the fact that Wissa's injured again? I mean, it sounded like it wasn't serious, but we've had this before where it sounds at first like it's
um,
not a serious injury and then it moves on.
I mean, Miley's had a dead leg for like what 2 months now. I mean, I know a
Yeah.
dead leg hurts, but I've never heard somebody take this long to recover from that. So it might turn into something a little more serious. Um, I'm obviously it's never nice to have a player getting injured, but I think maybe just a couple of weeks out of the team and a couple of extra weeks to work on his fitness and his sharpness might actually be a good thing for Wissa. I think now we can't afford to have any stragglers. I think with Walter Mara again kind of showing his class, and with Ramsey really stepping up and Alanga starting to look a lot more sure-footed of himself. I know he still hasn't set the world alight for everybody, but I've started to really like what I've seen in him, because I did think it was always a confidence problem with him. With everybody else in the direction, I think Wissa needs to be up to speed, and I don't think he has been the last few times that we've seen him. So maybe his injury might be like almost a good thing, just to give him a chance to kind of recoup himself, and then hopefully come back and be the player that we saw last season and the player that we thought we were signing.
Yeah, I completely agree. As I say, it's just a worry that he's had an injury, and at his age, is this going to start? But I just hope we don't go down. I hate to say this, but go down the route of a Wilson, where he's injured a lot of the time. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully he gets back from this
Mhm.
little knockback, and he's sorted out. Just to remind you guys, after ourselves, we've got Jamie and the lads on doing the comparison show. It'll be on straight after us.
Yes.
Great show. So keep tuned to watch that. And again, if you can,
Yeah,
hit the
please stay
likes on
tuned.
the stream. Yep. Right, moving on. We'll do the O's now. So obviously we've got Asula as it's been called, and Owen that I've seen go through.
Yeah,
Um,
we've got some nightmares from the O's. I mean, we can. I can't think I can name. I don't think I can name many good players who have started with an O for us, but I can name you some terrible ones. And I think, to be fair, Asula's probably the best one I can name, because we've got Michael Owen, who I think was tragic for us, and you've got another player who I think people might. I think people can remember him, but I think he's a repressed memory for most people, which is Obertan.
yeah,
I don't know if you were a big fan of him back in the day there, Boaky.
not really, not really. He did a job at times, but he was from Man United, wasn't he? He came in from Man United, and uh,
Yes.
he was awful, to be honest. If I'm being perfectly honest, I do actually slightly disagree with you. I
I
think
think I'm
Owen was
surprised.
do actually slightly disagree. I think Owen was actually quite a good player for us at times. I think especially when
Right.
when Keegan came in and he played Owen slightly back and had Viduka
Yeah, and he
and
played the
Martins
three
up
of them.
front. Yeah, he played the three of them. I
Yeah.
thought Owen had quite a good season that season for her.
I mean, I
But
remember
but I
one of his
agree.
finishes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he came here for the money, Owen, which is never a good thing. But I think out of the
And he's
lot that
not
I would
exactly
have to
been nice
choose, I
to
would
us
choose
since he
him.
left.
No, no. That's another one,
Yeah.
O'Brien.
No. Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm disappointed that somebody did end up putting it in chat, because I was about to say I'm surprised we haven't seen Andy O'Brien or Liam O'Brien or any O'Brien, but I didn't actually get the chance to do. I mean, I've still done
Oh,
it, because the people listening on radio would have wanted to hear a fantastic rhyme in there. But yeah, as soon as I saw it in chat, I was like, oh, there goes my joke.
oh,
Never mind.
oh. Should we
But
move
yeah,
on to
what comes
P?
after O?
P.
Lemon
So
P. Yes.
any Newcastle United could be there. Name began with P. That's played in the Premier League. Um, and
And it is
again,
a last name, so Papa.
yeah, it is the last
No.
name that we're going for. Um, so in
Yeah.
regards to Botman and obviously him getting rested the weekend, do you believe that? Do you think he was just rested, or do you think there could potentially be a little injury there?
That one does worry me. Whereas the Wissa one, I can see positives behind it. Botman not being part of the squad does concern me. I did see a report, and I don't know if it was just like hearsay, but I did see people saying that it had been confirmed that there was a back injury with Botman. So I mean, he's starting to look a little bit like a glass cannon at times. I mean, he's an absolute. People call him the Rolls Royce of defenders, and I mean, he definitely is. I mean, he's again one of my favorite players at the team. I think he's potentially, if we can keep him fit, I think we've got one of the best defenders in the league there. But I'm very concerned about his injury niggles. He is starting to miss a lot of like big chunks of every season, and he's starting to look a little bit fragile, shall we say?
100%, 100%. Just to say, Monkey, Stuart Pearce, that's one hell of a shout. I forgot all about him coming to her.
I didn't
But
even
yeah,
know Stuart Pearce had played for us.
yeah, he was one of it was the Dad's Brigade that Kenny Dalglish brought in towards when he took over from Keegan.
Oh,
So you had
yeah. Because to be fair,
Ian Rush and John Barnes come in, who
yeah,
basically
you
were
put it.
just uh, Dalglish's mates who wanted the big payoff before they retired.
Yeah, I mean, he did. To be fair to Kenny Dalglish, when he came in and he had some big boots to fill, and he did bring us a title-winning team. Unfortunately, they were the team that had won the title for Liverpool in 1986, so it didn't quite work out by the time they came to us. But yeah, I absolutely forgot that Stuart Pearce had ever played for us.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the ones that have went through, I was a Pistoni fan, to be honest. I've seen his name go through, so, but I think I have to go with the late, great Pavel Cernacek. He was my brother's favourite player when he was growing up. He wore some of the iconic goalkeeping shirts of the 90s, especially the orange one with the city landscape on. So I think for me, a
Yeah,
special shout out to a great player that was Pavel Cernacek.
yeah, absolutely
I've just realised
love
that
you,
it was his
Geordie.
first name that was Pavel. But
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
let
let
it
myself
slide.
off. Yeah, but I'm gonna let
I'm
myself
gonna let
off.
that slide.
Should we
And
quickly move on
and
to Q? And if anybody gets
yeah,
this, I'll get them a Mars bar because I did have to Google this one, and I still can't really remember him as a player forward.
Q.
Well,
Wow.
Q, and
I'll have to keep thinking
I
about
will need a
that while we're.
first name with this one as well because there's been other players with the surname that's played forward but not in the Premier League. So anyway, if I'll keep an eye on the chat for a minute or two, and we'll see if anybody gets it. But we'll move on now, Tina, to where do you think our season goes now? We'll go through each competition. So where do you think we're Premier League season goes now?
I mean, hopefully we're going to take the confidence that we've built in the last two games and go on a bit of a run. We do still have some tough games ahead of us, but I still think on our day. I mean, people get a little bit downhearted about some of the performances we've had this season, but we still do have 95% of the team that we watched over the last two seasons be absolutely unplayable on our day with even if the high press has kind of moved out of our game a bit, there's attack and sparkle in that team, and I'm hoping that we're going to go on a bit of a run and maybe land ourselves back in the European positions. It's definitely not out of touch yet. The Premier League is so tight this season that I don't think until we get into the last five games of the season, it might have kind of opened up a bit then. But right now, I still think European qualification is still on our radar.
100%. That's where we need to be Premier League wise. We need to be European spaces. So hopefully
Mm.
that's where we progress to. Got to give Kim Cam a big shout out. She's quite right. Wayne Quinn played for in the Premier League. He was a left back signed by Bobby
Wayne
Robson
Quinn.
When Dommy got him injured. He started a few games when he was injured, and then Bobby signed him. I think it was for about £800,000. But then he was quickly moved on. I think he didn't prove to be a great signing for her. So we'll move on to R within the chat. So anybody beginning with R, and I apologize,
There's some
Monkey,
good
if you.
players.
I apologize, Monkey. The chat's moving so fast at times. I'm struggling to keep up. So if you got it as well, mate, well done. Really well done.
Yeah, you've been told off by Monkey there. Rightly
I
so,
have.
Boaky.
I've
Come
been
on, be fair.
rightly so. Yeah, so I think Premier League wise, as you say, we need to finish, as high as we can, and sort of make sure that we at least we get Europe through the league at least. If not, hopefully the better competitions. So, dream would be Champions League, but I think that's maybe a little way off now. So
Yeah.
probably, UEFA Cup or something like that. So where do you
I've not
think
given
we
up
we
on
could?
Champions League yet.
No, I haven't given up, but I think it's a bit of an aspiration at the moment. Where do you think we're going in the FA Cup this year? Where do you think we'll finish FA Cup wise?
I mean, you know me, Captain Optimism. I'm hoping that we're gonna. I'll be realistic and I'll rein myself back a bit. We're absolutely winning it. 100% winning it. Book your tickets to London now, everybody. We are taking the FA Cup back home to Tyneside.
I mean, as I said earlier on in the show, I just want to get an easy draw for once. I'm sick. It's lovely playing big teams, but I'm sick of it in cup competitions. I just want a nice, easy one, an easy cup run. That's my dream at the minute. I don't care if we play all little teams through to the final, and people say, they just played little teams to get the final. 2 years down the line, nobody will remember that. All they'll see is Newcastle United
No.
winners of the FA Cup. So
Yep,
let's
exactly.
not worry about that. Let's go for it. So should we do ours quickly? Because as I said,
Yes, we've
time's
got some
flowing in,
good
and we're a little
shouts in
bit.
the crowd.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's been some great shouts went through. I think for me, the one that stands out massively is Lauren Robert.
Yeah,
Great,
got to
great
be, hasn't
player,
it?
great winger, yeah. His free kicks were magical. You don't really see players take free kicks like that, especially for us now. Once you're sort
No.
of out, I mean, outside the edge of the box, it tends to be a cross, whereas Robert would just shoot from anywhere, and he had a hell of a shot on him. Great winger. I absolutely loved him. So Robert for me, yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to go with Faber as well. What I loved about him is that every time he got the ball, he did think to himself, "I'm gonna do something cute here. I'm gonna look for a pass," and then someone just took over in his brain. He was like, "I'm gonna kick this ball really hard at the goal," and somehow it just worked out, and he scored some absolute classics. And
Belters.
yeah, I mean, I would love us to have a free kick taker like him again. But even the goals he scored in open play, where he just randomly from like just running down the left wing, the strikers are running alongside, thinking we're gonna get the ball here, and then he just top corners it from the left wing. Like who even does that?
Yep, 100%. I think this one could be quite an easy one, but we'll move on to S. So, any Newcastle United Premier
S.
League player who's played for that starts with the letter S. So,
Can't
yeah,
think of a
so
single player beginning with S, mate, to be honest with you.
I think Chris the American Mag might have a different answer from the rest of the chat. Maybe some younger fans might have different opinions
Yes.
to older fans. But yeah, FA Cup wise, I don't see any reason why we can't win that this season. I don't see anything at all. Champions League
Ooh,
wise,
positivity from Boaky.
I know. Champions League wise, where do you think we can finish in the Champions League?
Again, I'm going to be much more conservative this time because it is a massive European competition and it does have some big sides in that. So yeah, I absolutely think we're winning that as well, Boaky.
100%. Do you think?
No, I think we'll.
Are you worried about
I
if we
think I
get
think
through the? Are you worried if we get through the qualifier where the teams that we'll face, because it's either going to be Man City or Barcelona in the last 16? Would that worry
First of
you,
all,
or do you think, oh,
shout for the person in chat that's just mentioned Davide Santon. Wow. Sorry, what were you saying? The after we get past the
if we
the
get
the
past,
playoff game,
obviously, yeah, the playoff game,
when?
it's going to be either Man City or Barcelona. Would you be worried about that, or do you think that brings we out at our best?
I mean, I think the Barcelona game that we had earlier in the season, I honestly think if Gordon had scored that goal near the start, we could have had an absolute different outcome to that game that we ended up having. I don't think that Rashford has moved on for the rest of the season. Like, I mean, he looked like he was going to set the absolute world alight at Barcelona when he played against us. I don't think he's quite pushed on from there, so I'm not as scared of Barcelona. Manchester City, I mean, they're always going to be a little bit of a worry, aren't they? Because they've just got bags and bags of quality. But if you're going to win these cups, you've got to play. I would, I would. I mean, I'm still going to pick us to win, whoever it is. But yeah, Manchester City's always going to be a worry at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I mean, these are the games that you dream of, though, isn't it? I mean, could you imagine us five,
Yeah.
6 years ago thinking if we get through a game, we're going to be playing Barcelona or Man United or Man City in the final 16 of the Champions League? It does just show you how much when people say PIF aren't interested or things in Newcastle, and when people say obviously Eddie Howe hasn't done a great job, I think that we need to remember back to those times as well. This
Hmm.
club has come a long, long way in a short period of time.
Yeah,
Obviously,
and
the next
it's what I
trophy.
keep.
Go on.
No, but I was just gonna say it. It's what I keep mentioning. It's one of the first things that I said when I when the very back at the very beginning of me starting on this channel. It was a phone in that I did, and I phoned Chris, and then the one thing that I was saying was we are eating good. We are eating real good right now, and I know it's disappointing when you get losses on the road, but losses are going to come. But compared to where we were 5 years ago, we are eating good. I mean, well, they're literally sitting here asking me, do you think we've got a chance against Barcelona in the last 16 of the Champions League? That question would have been a joke 5 years ago. Like it's wild where we've came in such a short time. But yeah, onwards and upwards.
So we'll move on to S. So favorite player beginning with S. There's loads went through the chat. I think
Yes.
Solano gets an honourable mention, as does Cisco. But for me, it has to be
Yeah.
the one, the only Alan Shearer. Top scorer ever for the club. Came boyhood fan who came home, stayed with throughout, ended his career here. You know, let's forget about him being manager, but no, brilliant, brilliant player for yourself.
Would you like to see him have a second go at being manager somewhere down the line, or
No, not for us. Can somewhere else if he wants, but I think it was
that's
like putting the
quite
kid.
good.
If I'm perfectly honest, it
Mine,
was like putting the kid in charge of the sweet shop.
which to be fair to NUFC Talk, they have done for us here today, which we appreciate.
Yeah.
But but for me, S. I mean, obviously Shiva, fantastic player. We've got Santon was mentioned, and obviously Solano. But it would be very un-Christina-esque of me if I didn't pick Fabian Schär at this point, wouldn't it?
It would be. So, to be fair, is a £3 million. I suppose if you go off price, Shearer was a world record signing at the time. If you go off Shaw's there,
Mhm.
£3 million, he's been absolutely an amazing signing for brilliant. I think one of the
Yeah.
best signings ever,
Mhm.
probably for the club, just based on price. Right, we'll move on to T because we
Yeah,
are really getting short on time. So any Newcastle United player that
we
surname
are.
begins with T, and what we'll do is we'll move on to Carabakh. If that's how you pronounce it, and just say what's your feelings for this
Carabag,
game,
yeah.
Carabagh. What's your feelings for this game?
Caution. I mean, it's two legs, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit cautious of the fact that it increases our games per week by two extra games that we are adding to the season. But I mean, as far as a team that you could meet at this stage, I think Carabag would be one that everybody would want. Not a team that a lot of people might have heard of at this stage in Champions League. We're probably a little bit surprised to see them hanging on. They did get a couple of massive results though, which is why they are where they are. So I think we've got more quality than them and should be able to get the win, but I would be very, very cautious and just make sure that we keep our concentration and motivation for that game. I think the away leg with the distance of it is going to be very difficult. I think in that game we just need to go in there, try to score a goal if we can, then two. But I think when they come over to St James's Park, I think we could I mean, we should run riot on them when they come over here because they've got that long travel to do. We've got the crowd over here. They're not going to have seen anything like St James's Park in their history, I wouldn't have thought. Even though they've played against big clubs already, I think St James's Park's, it's a different territory. So hopefully by the time we bring them back here, we will we'll turn them over and progress into the final 16, and then we can start dreaming big again.
Fingers crossed, 100%. I think the big thing for me is that we're playing the away leg first. I always love that when you're playing a two-leg competition. So, we'll play them
Yeah.
away and then we'll bring them back to St James's. So you'd still think even if we draw that game, if we bring them back home, I back us on a St James's night, 8 o'clock kickoff,
Hmm.
Champions League night for us to turn them over. So I think it's exciting times with that. Should we quickly do T? So there's some
Let's do
names went through
teas.
this. Stephen Taylor, Tonali, um, Trips to name but a few.
Shout out for Taylor, to be fair.
I know, Stephen Taylor. Yeah, who
Ryan
do you
Taylor
pick
as
from
well.
them? Ryan Taylor as well over the wall.
And a shout for Chow. I mean, because it's on topic, I'm gonna have to go with Tonali. But I think when we look back in history, like a few years from now, when we've went through whatever we're gonna go through over the next few years, I think we will look back at Kieran Trippier as being the turnaround marquee signing of the second coming of Newcastle United, if you want.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. We can quickly move on from you because there isn't a Newcastle United player's name that in the Premier League that's ever played for beginning with U. So we'll move on to V. So any player in the Premier League that
V.
name begins with a V. Yep. So we're kind of agreed that the away leg of the Carabakh is sort of we can win it, we should win it, but if we don't, we're not going to be too panicked.
No.
Yeah, excellent. And then finally, we've got the Man City game, obviously at the weekend. A tough fixture, obviously. What are your feelings on that one?
I mean, it's Manchester City is a game that not even I'm too crazy about with my like 6-0 and 7-0 predictions all the time. Again, I mean, if we've gone on quite a good little run and we beat Carabag, depending on who we've got available. I mean, I don't know if there's a chance for Miley to be back for that or Botman to be back for that. But Manchester City is always going to be a tough game, and I think people, whatever the outcome of that game is, I think we need to remember what we've done over the past couple of weeks, and people need to not get too have too big a reaction towards Eddie and the lads if the Manchester City game doesn't go our way. Because I mean, Manchester City are potentially one of the best teams in the world right now, and I don't think anybody could disagree with that. But you know me, I would still like to see us grab a cheeky win against them.
Completely agree. Should we move on to the V's? Because I'm just conscious of time.
Yes,
I've seen
some
Viduka go
massive
through, which is
shouts.
great. Barry Venison. You definitely won't remember Barry Venison, I wouldn't think. But
I've
if you
heard
ever,
that he talks on I've seen him mentioned on social media. He was
yeah,
talking about a couple of things.
another player who played for
He
Sunderland, I
wears
think,
glasses.
he used to have the long blonde flowing hair. So have you got a
I've
favourite
probably
from
been quite
them?
into him in the day.
Maybe's.
I mean, I've seen Vukik mentioned. My favorite player beginning with a V for Newcastle United, Hugo Viana.
Ooh, good call. I forgot all
I'm
about Hugo
I'm a
Viana.
big fan of Hugo Viana, and I didn't see him mentioned in the chat, so that's why I put him straight in there. But yeah, I was a big fan of Hugo Viana with these long sleeves and his hair, but he had a decent free kick on him. So yeah, I wish he had
I,
became a player that I thought he was going to.
Yeah, I had Viduka down, but I'm going to change my mind and go with him. He was a great player. So, yeah, you've
Yeah.
changed my mind on Hugo Vion. He's a great player. Just to quickly shout out with the S's, we did miss out Gary Speed, the late great Gary
Yes,
Speed.
actually,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
so just to say on that, yeah, Speed was a great player for. Came in under Kenny Dalglish again. Didn't have the best of starts, but then once he was shifted from the left wing and put into the centre, he was great for us. So yes, big shout out to Gary Speed. So we're moving on to W. So any Newcastle United player that begins with W. The Man City game at the weekend, I am a little bit worried about in regards to,
Mhm.
we're going to be playing obviously midweek and then going to their place, and they've got so many great players. They've got world class players that would get into any team in the world. I mean, but
Yeah.
when we talk about our team, we say some players will get into the team. You're talking one or two, maybes, like other world class teams. I mean, but with them, I think you're probably talking 10, probably 11 that would, if they've got the best team out, would get into their teams. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
great club. I do think we've got a chance. I think I hope Eddie goes to the three at the back. If I'm perfectly, if as long as he's got enough defenders, he goes to the three at the back for this
If
one.
Botman's fit, yeah.
Hotman's fit, yeah. But if we can sort of just not shut up shop, but sort of make sure we've got a strong base to build from, and then move on from there. That would be
Hmm.
my hope. So we've got W. So I've seen Wissa go through. Obviously, Voltamada. Mike
Yep.
Mike Williamson, was it, who was the central defender? Some great shouts there. Would
Mike
you have a
Williamson.
particular favorite? I think he became Gateshead manager at some point. Not sure if he's still there. Willock, another one.
I'm not sure. Well, like, yeah, I mean, our team right now has got a lot of good players beginning with W. So, Walter Mara would have to get a shout. But I think that I've seen Watson mentioned in the team. I think Wilson, he was a really good player for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll go with Walter Mara for my favorite of the players beginning with W. I think.
I think I might go with Wilson, just simply down to the fact that he saved with that one season. It was him
Yeah.
himself who basically kept up. So he signed for. I think what you got to remember with Wilson as well. He signed from when we were dogs. He was a
Yeah.
great signing. So yeah, I think I'll go for Wilson. There is actually an X. So um, can you name it? Chat if anybody in there's got it. Pop it in. Could you name the X, Christina?
I know exactly who we're talking about. He was signed under Kevin Keegan's second reign, and I'm struggling to think of his name, but I do know. Was it pronounced Sesko
It was pronounced Cisco.
when
Yeah,
he actually? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There you go. You
Um,
see, I'm not just
well
an
done,
airhead.
and well done, Monkey as
You
well,
didn't
who
think
got
I
it
was going to
in.
get that, did you?
I didn't. To be fair, I had to Google that one if I'm perfectly honest. So no, I
I
would
remember because
never
he
have
was
got
the
that off the
straw
top of my
that broke
head.
the camel's back with Keegan.
Yep, yep. It,
He
it
was
was
the
because
one that we signed.
he didn't want him, did he? Well, he'd never seen him. And,
No,
Dennis Wise basically bought him for him, didn't he? And that's
I don't remember actually seeing him play for Newcastle. To be honest with you, I don't know if you've got the stats in front of you. I don't know if he made an
no.
appearance for us. But I do remember
The,
his name, and I do remember the hoopla around Keegan moving on.
yeah, yep. And the final one, because there isn't a Z either, is Y. So any Newcastle United player played in the Premier League whose name begins with a Y.
That's a
You got any
hard one,
idea,
actually.
Christina?
There's definitely a Y, is there?
There definitely is. And do
Okay.
you want a clue?
Yes, please.
USA. USA.
USA. So he's an American player.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I don't.
he came to her from Tottenham. A
Came
right
us from
back.
Tottenham. Begin with. Oh, wait. It was No, I'm not gonna get
Oh,
it. We're gonna run out of time.
the chat have got it
Yedlin,
there.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I
Well
was
done, the
thinking of him because
Beavers.
there's a guy who I watch. He's from America, and his favorite player is Yedlin. And I didn't know he was American until you said it, but now it makes sense that Yedlin was why he loves Yedlin so much.
Right, guys, thank you very much for watching the night. It's been great. First show we just have done. I think it went okay. Don't forget the comparisons on straight after us, so just stay tuned in and you should be transferred across. If not, you can just find it on the channel on YouTube. And thank you very much for this evening, Christina, and thank you very much to everybody in the chat. Away the tune.
How are the tune?